Well, hello. Today we are opening the shop in a way that you've never experienced before. I'm very, very excited. Over the next 3 conversations, I'll tell you why. We're going to be talking about really what dealers are dealing with, what you're carrying right now, and what the shop has done to take a lot of weight off your plate. My name is Sean, and my guest today has spent more than 25 years on both sides of the vendor table, and that's why this matters. Beth Hill, welcome.
Thank you, Sean. I'm very excited to be here and to talk to everybody about what the shop is doing for dealers.
Good. Well, you better get excited because I'm excited, and you can't let me be more excited about this than you are. And I want to start in the place that I think it will resonate with dealers, and that is what's really going on with them. What are they dealing with? What's on the plate of dealers right now in 2026? Not just the headline version, but what's really happening out there. You talk to a lot of dealers, so what's the story?
Well, we've been talking to dealers for a very long time. For over a decade, we've heard dealers talk about how many different things they have to deal with every single day in the dealership. And from the conversations that my team is having today with dealers, there is so much going on right now that is coming at them in every different direction. Trade-ins are coming in underwater. Customers are coming in with payment expectations that the banks are having trouble funding. And a lot of dealers are describing themselves as part-time debt counselors. That's before you even get to the service bays where they're having hiring issues, aging EV inventory, and the floor plan interest trap. Dealers are carrying a lot on their shoulders right now.
Yeah, it is pretty overwhelming out there. On top of all of that, talk to me a little bit about this because this is certainly familiar ground for the shop. How many vendor pitches, when you're talking to dealers, are they having to field on average, like in a week's time?
Yeah, I think it's actually nonstop. I think every single day there are vendors in the dealership lobbies, in their email, on the phone. They're pitching and pitching and pitching all the time. So it's really up to the dealer to set their own boundaries of how many they're going to sit in on. But the pace of vendor pitches that's happening, and there's many wonderful, amazing vendors out there, but the pace is relentless for the dealers. And we've heard from a lot of dealers who have said, week over week, they said, I can't sit through another pitch. I just can't do it. I gave it to this person, I gave it to that person, or I've got this team over here doing it. And for anyone in the dealership, it's hard to tell which of those vendors are the ones they should be talking to versus the ones who got through their filter.
Yeah, so true. Very, very true. Well, I want to ask you a little bit about negative equity. A lot of dealers are always kind of dealing with some of these areas, but when they're bleeding on negative equity, they can't staff a service bay. An empty service bay means revenue lost. If they've got EV inventory that may be aging, no government incentives anymore. On top of all of that, someone is in their inbox pitching AI, right? That's going to fix all of their problems. How's anyone supposed to evaluate really any of those vendors with the time that they actually have or that they don't have?
Yeah, Sean, it's a great question because it's really, really hard. There are a lot of great tools out there that are using AI that are helping with many of those very complicated and timely issues dealers are dealing with, but they can't, right? There's not enough time in the day for them to survey the entire landscape of, just talking about, service and ROs. How do you reach out to customers that are due for service? Just listened to another podcast recently where they talked about how over 90% of customers that are due for service can't get into the store or aren't being followed up on. So there are wonderful tools out there that are able to help solve those problems. But going through and vetting the hundreds of solutions that are out there in that particular space is exactly why we built the shop to help dealers with those choices.
Okay, so then tell me, what is the shop? I know the shop's been around for a while, but what is it and what is it built to do?
Okay. Wow. The shop is actually only 2.5 years old. So we're still very much in early adopter phase, but we are a curated business to business marketplace built for Ford and Lincoln dealers and beyond. It's not a directory. It's not a pay to play. Every single vendor in the shop goes through a real trusted certification process. We have a team of people and tools working on due diligence. We do a security and technology and privacy review, and we have standards that we require before a vendor can earn their place and keep it in the shop. We want the curation process for us is everything. We built it because dealers asked us to. As I said earlier, they are drowning in vendor noise, and they want someone they trust to do the filtering and the vetting to help them.
It almost makes too much sense, but it's not ever existed really in the industry. So that's, for me personally, that's what, one of the things that gets me excited about it. But walk me through it. Like, try not to think marketing version, but what does the shop actually do for a dealer?
Yeah. And that's all I'm capable of telling you is what we can do for the dealers because I don't have the marketing spin on it. I have the real work that we do to help save the dealers weeks, if not months of time and research and vetting that they'd all have to do on their own. Many, many, many hours, days, weeks, trying to understand who are the best players in the space, what is their value proposition, and we do it for them. We negotiate special pricing. We bill through part statement billing if you're a Ford and Lincoln dealer, and we're going to be transactional very soon in Q3. We provide access to vetted solutions across the entire dealership, and we're growing every single day. Whether it's warranty, compliance, technology, an entire specialty and innovation and new companies that are out there doing things in a new way. We do things for the dealers and we have very sound principles that guide us in how we do what we're doing. And that's dealers first, integrity and transparency, and excellence. Simply said, there's just no black box. The dealer gets to see and understand how we're doing it. They know why we're doing it. And they know that they can trust when they see that shop preferred vendor logo, that it's been through our rigorous process.
I think it will help the audience to understand some differentiation as well, because there are other places that dealers can find vendors, like directories or going to a conference, industry word of mouth. From your perspective, why does the shop exist at all?
Because none of those things you mentioned actually vet the vendor for the dealer. A
Mm,
directory is a list for everyone. A conference is a moment in time with a certain number of vendors there. Word of mouth and talking to your buddies is really luck and hoping that, that other people have good recommendations. The shop is the only place that I know about where we have a team of people doing the work and the diligence and the reviews, the reference checks with multiple dealers, validating their claims before the vendor ever gets in front of the dealer. If a pitch was enough to make a decision, the shop wouldn't really exist.
mm, yeah, makes so much sense. So a skeptical dealer is hearing this like for the first time. You're talking about a marketplace that's curated by the shop, and they're assuming like it's pay to play with extra steps. Like, how does the shop avoid being that to a dealer?
The way we avoid um, having that reputation is by not being that and being as transparent and operating with integrity. We say no way more often than we ever say yes. Eventually, just like you can look in Amazon and see what percentage a seller is paying to Amazon, we have a platform fee, but those fees are only paid if the vendor meets our certification process. They have to earn their way into the shop, and they have to keep earning it by delivering and delivering with happy vendors. Every vendor in the shop has cleared many different hurdles. It doesn't, it's not a one size fits all. If you're dealing with dealer data, we get an extra set of things that we have to do than perhaps somebody that's just providing music and experience in the dealership. And we require that they are telling us the truth, and it's validated evidence of what they can deliver for the dealers.
Mm,
That's the difference between a curated marketplace and a directory.
yeah, that which is such a huge difference. Well, let me expand a little bit with you. After 25 years, maybe longer than that. I know you and I have had conversations about how long we've both been in the automotive industry, a long time, but let's just say at least it's 25 years where you have this unique perspective of being on both sides of the vendor table, as I mentioned in the intro. What's the one thing that maybe still surprises you about how dealers evaluate vendors?
Yeah. And I think look, we've been in this industry a long time. I grew up in New York, where people are cynical by nature. But what surprises me the most is how much sometimes the superficial stuff wins the room.
Uh,
Everybody's got amazing presentations and lots of different information that they give, and it all looks so good on the surface. Dealers are smart. They're not, they're smart, they're hardworking. Um, they're also, what I call healthy skeptics on a lot of things. And that's a really
mhm,
helpful quality to have. However, they just have so much to deal with that sometimes it's the glossy presentations that win the day. We
mm,
go multiple levels deeper to be able to see who actually delivers. It's really not, it's a knock on the system. And that's what the shop was designed to close, that gap between, perception and reality. We
yeah.
stand by our vendors.
I think that's a very important attribute for dealers to understand, and I think you are doing a great job of articulating that because, like you mentioned, the shop's been out there for a couple of years now, but sometimes it takes the market a little time to understand some of these really important building blocks and the differentiating value. And you're talking about some of it that I think that once a dealer understands that, they realize how valuable this piece is for them. Well, let me ask you this as we start to figure out how to land the plane. If a dealer hears nothing else from this conversation we've been having, what's maybe, if there is one thing that you'd want them to take away, what would that be?
I want them to take away that you don't have to figure out which vendors are real all by yourself. And I'll say that, not all vendors are in the shop, but we're looking at hundreds and hundreds of vendors every single quarter. The work is being done for you every day by experts in the field who do this for a living. That's what the shop is designed to do, to help dealers save time, save money, and have peace of mind.
Hmm. It's been a fantastic conversation. Audience, if you take anything away from it, here's something else. You do have to figure out which vendors are real, and you don't have to do that all by yourself anymore. That work is being done, as Beth has helped us understand today. This is being done every day by people who do it for a living. That's what the shop is. We'll be back with a couple more conversations with Beth in the future, so stay tuned for those. Make sure that if you're on the YouTube channel that you actually subscribe, like this content, share it with people, and again, watch out for the next two conversations as we're going to continue to explore these value points of the shop. Beth, thank you so much. It's always great talking to you about this, and for everyone watching, like I said, this is the first of three, so we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.